अब आ रहा है? ठीक। साथियों, आपका बहुत स्वागत है और बड़ी खुशी की बात है कि हमारे बीच इस समय देश के पूर्व केंद्रीय मंत्री और प्रख्यात अर्थशास्त्री विधिवेत्ता माननीय पी चिदम्बरम जी आए हैं। हम उनका बहुत स्वागत करते हैं। हम स्वागत करते हैं अपने राष्ट्रीय प्रवक्ता माननीय श्री पवन खेड़ा जी का। हमारे साथ मंच पर हमारे नेशनल सेक्रेटरी सचिन नायक जी हैं, उनका भी हम स्वागत करते हैं। अंशु अवस्थी जी, हमारे प्रवक्ता प्रिंट के हमारे संयोजक अशोक सिंह जी और मीडिया विभाग के संयोजक ललन कुमार जी भी मौजूद हैं, हम इनका स्वागत करते हैं। सबसे पहले माननीय पी चिदम्बरम जी से आग्रह है कि वो अपना वक्तव्य आपके सामने दें। उसके बाद आपके जो प्रश्न होंगे उसको भी संबोधित किया जाएगा। ऑनरेबल पी चिदम्बरम साहब।
Thank you, Shri Pankaj Srivastava. Thank you, my colleagues in the Uttar Pradesh PCC, Shri Pavan Khera, Shri Sachin Naik, friends of the media. I have a one-page opening statement. Copies will be distributed to you. It is in English, but the Hindi translation will come to you in about an hour or so. So let me read the opening statement, and then I will take your questions. Mr. Khera will summarize my statement in Hindi. Today is the 5th round of polling in Uttar Pradesh. Most voters of the state have exercised their franchise. It has been a hard-fought election. There are 4 key players, and each one of them has its own strength and appeal. The Congress has, after a long interval, planted its flag in all the constituencies and has fielded candidate in nearly 400 constituencies. It has given a new dimension to the goal of gender equality in elections. Its slogan, "Main ladki hoon, lad sakti hoon," has brought a new energy to the campaign. Srimati Priyanka Gandhi Vadra and her team have campaigned tirelessly through the length and breadth of this vast state. I sincerely appeal to the people of Uttar Pradesh to support the Congress and vote for the Congress candidates. I have followed this election from a distance. I am familiar with the campaign speeches, the claims made, and the promises given. It leaves me somewhat sad and apprehensive about the future. Yours, Uttar Pradesh, is the most populous state in India. You are among the hardest working people of India. You have sent 8 prime ministers to Delhi, and all of them were honorable people. Yet Uttar Pradesh is poor, its people are poor, and on many economic and social indicators, the state is at the bottom. Let's focus on the last 5 years under the BJP. The gross state domestic product, GSDP, growth rate of UP has declined steadily from 11.4% in 2016-17, the year previous, to minus 6.4% in 2020-21. The per capita income is less than half the national average. Under Chief Minister Mr. Adityanath, the per capita income has actually declined by 1.9%. The total debt of the state stands at 6,62,891 crore rupees, which is 34.2% of the GSDP. Mr. Adityanath alone added 40% to the debt in 5 years. According to the multi-dimensional poverty index released by the Niti Aayog, 37.9% of the population of UP is poor. In 12 districts, the poverty ratio is over 50%, and in 3 districts, it is over 70%. These 3 districts are Shravasti, Baraj, and Balrampur. I believe Balrampur is voting today. The youth of Uttar Pradesh are the worst affected. The unemployment rate in UP is one of the highest in the country. Since April 2018, the unemployment rate for youth in the age group 15 to 29 years has been in double digits and above the All India rate for that age group. 1 out of 4 youth in urban areas was unemployed during April 2018 and March 2021. There are a huge number of vacancies in the state government. The government cannot fill them because it has no money. The number of out migrants from UP to other states is 12.32 million. That is, 1 out of every 16 persons belonging to Uttar Pradesh migrates out of UP to other states. 1 out of 16. The state of education and healthcare in UP is pathetic. UP needs 2,77,000 teachers to meet the shortfall of teachers. The pupil-teacher ratio is one of the worst among all the states. 1 out of 8 students drops out of school at class 8. The gross enrollment ratio at college or university level is only 26.3%. UP's neonatal mortality rate is 35.7. That is 35 children out of every 1,000 born die at birth. Infant mortality is 50.4 and under 5 mortality is 59.8, all well above the national average. The ratio of doctors is 0.64 per 1,000 population. There's not even 1 doctor per 1,000 population. Nurses is 0.43 and paramedics is 1.38, all below the national average and all below the Indian public health standards norms. In district hospitals, there are only 13 beds for every 1 lakh population. In the Niti Aayog Health Index, in the last 4 rounds, ending in 2019-20, UP ranked at the bottom of all the states of India. I respectfully ask the voters of UP, what are you voting for? Are you voting for becoming a better economy? Are you voting for raising your per capita income? Are you voting for jobs for your youth in Uttar Pradesh? Are you voting to stop the out-migration? Are you voting for better education? Are you voting for a better health care? What are you voting for? There must be a purpose in voting. Mr. Adityanath's model of governance is a mix of authoritarianism, fanning religious hatred, perpetuating caste enmity, police excesses, and gender violence. This model has made the state poorer and kept the majority of the people of UP poor. It is time for change. If your vote does not bring about a comprehensive change, a change of government, a change of attitude, a change of policies, a change of direction, and a change of values. If your vote does not bring about such a change, your vote will not do justice to you or your family's goals and aspirations. I appeal to the people of Uttar Pradesh to vote for the Congress and vote for a comprehensive change. Thank you. Briefly, he will speak in Hindi and then questions.
नमस्कार साथियों, मैं माननीय श्री चिदम्बरम जी का जो अंग्रेजी में वक्तव्य था उसका एक हिंदी में अनुवाद करूंगा। आज उत्तर प्रदेश 5वें चरण का मतदान कर रहा है। बहुत ही मेहनत से ये चुनाव लड़ा जा रहा है। 4 प्रमुख पार्टियां हैं जो यहां चुनाव लड़ रही हैं और अपने अपनी बात आप सबके माध्यम से उत्तर प्रदेश के वोटरों के सामने रख रही है। कांग्रेस पार्टी लगभग सारी सीटों पर चुनाव लड़ रही है। जो प्रियंका गांधी वाड्रा जी ने यहां अपना प्रचार किया, अपना एक संवाद रखा उत्तर प्रदेश की जनता के साथ, उसमें एक पूरे देश की राजनीति में नया आयाम जोड़ा। जो नारा दिया, लड़की हूं लड़ सकती हूं, उसने पूरे देश की राजनीति में एक तरह से करवट बदलती हुई दिखाई दे रही है। मैंने यानी कि चिदम्बरम साहब ने एक दूरी से इस चुनाव को देखा, समझा, लेकिन लोगों के अलग अलग पार्टियों के नेताओं के भाषण सुने, उनके वादे समझे और उन भाषणों को सुनकर, उस संवाद को समझकर चिंतित भी हैं, आशंकित भी हैं भविष्य को लेकर। यह एक सबसे बड़ी आबादी वाला प्रदेश तो है ही। सबसे मेहनतकश लोग अगर इस देश में कहीं पाए जाते हैं तो वो उत्तर प्रदेश के लोग होते हैं। 8 प्रधानमंत्री इस प्रदेश ने इस देश को दिए, सम्मानित प्रधानमंत्री थे। लेकिन आज भी उत्तर प्रदेश गरीब है, लोग गरीब हैं और कई पैमानों पर, आर्थिक एवं सामाजिक पैमानों पर पूरे देश में कई बार देखकर अफसोस होता है कि उत्तर प्रदेश सबसे नीचे पायदान पर है। तो जो सकल राज्य घरेलू उत्पाद है उत्तर प्रदेश का, 2016-17 में जो 11.4% था वो गिरकर -6.4% हो गया 2020-21 में। पर कैपिटा इनकम राष्ट्रीय आय की आधी है। आदित्यनाथ जी की सरकार में जो पर कैपिटा इनकम थी वो 1.9% पर गिर गई है। कर्जा इस प्रदेश में 6,62,891 करोड़ का कर्जा, जिसमें से 40% आदित्यनाथ जी की सरकार की देन है। जो नीति आयोग का बहुआयामी गरीबी सूचकांक आता है आंकड़ा, 37.9% आबादी उत्तर प्रदेश की गरीबी रेखा के नीचे है। 12 जिलों में यह अनुपात 50% से ऊपर जाता है। इन 12 में से 3 जिले ऐसे हैं जिसमें 70% के आसपास है। ये हैं श्रावस्ती, बहराइच और बलरामपुर। यहां के नौजवान, और यह बोलते हुए बड़ी पीड़ा होती है, सबसे ज्यादा नुकसान नई पीढ़ी को हो रहा है। इन आंकड़ों को जो मैंने अभी आपके सामने रखे, वो सबसे ज्यादा नुकसान नई पीढ़ी का कर रहे हैं। बेरोजगारी दर इस देश में, उत्तर प्रदेश में सबसे ज्यादा। अप्रैल 2018 से जो बेरोजगारी दर है 15 से 29 साल की उम्र का, वो डबल डिजिट में आ चुका है। और अगर राष्ट्रीय आंकड़ा देखेंगे तो ये उससे कहीं ज्यादा है। हर 4 में से 1 नौजवान बेरोजगार है। शहरों में स्थिति और विकट है। सरकारी नौकरियों के विषय में इस मंच से पहले भी बहुत चर्चा हुई है कि कितनी वैकेंसीज हैं और वो नहीं भरी जाती क्योंकि नियत में नहीं है कि किसी को नौकरी दी जाए। जो उत्तर प्रदेश से पूरे देश में लोग जाते हैं, छोड़कर उत्तर प्रदेश को, पलायन जिसको हम कहते हैं, वह भी हिंदुस्तान में सबसे ज्यादा आपको उत्तर प्रदेश में दिखता है। 16 में से 1 व्यक्ति उत्तर प्रदेश का छोड़ के अपने राज्य को, अपने गांव को, अपने शहर को, उत्तर प्रदेश से बाहर जाता है नौकरी की तलाश में। यही हाल शिक्षा एवं स्वास्थ्य का भी है। 2,77,000 टीचरों की कमी हो जिस राज्य में, वहां आप शिक्षा का स्तर क्या होगा यह बताने की भी आवश्यकता नहीं है, आप हमसे ज्यादा समझते हैं। जो नवजात बच्चों की मृत्यु होती है 35.7%, हर 100 में से 35 बच्चे नवजात पैदा होते ही मर जाते हैं। यही हाल शिशु मृत्यु दर का भी है। लगभग 60% शिशु मृत्यु दर, ये सब राष्ट्रीय अनुपात से कहीं ज्यादा अधिक है। यही हाल डॉक्टरों का है। डॉक्टर जितने चाहिए उतने नहीं है, नर्सेज जितनी चाहिए उतने नहीं है। ये सारे आंकड़े प्रेस रिलीज के माध्यम से हम आपसे साझा करेंगे। और ये आंकड़े हमारे नहीं है, नीति आयोग के आंकड़े, सरकार के आंकड़े। यह सरकार आंकड़े छिपाने का भरसक प्रयास करती है, लेकिन आंकड़े और सत्य हमेशा निकल कर आ ही जाता है और सताता है। मैं ससम्मान उत्तर प्रदेश के वोटरों से एक सवाल पूछना चाहता हूं, आखिर आप क्या सोचकर वोट दे रहे हैं? ये आंकड़े जो आपके सामने रखे हैं, क्या आपके जहन में ये आंकड़े आते हैं जब आप बटन दबाने जाते हो, जब आप चुनते हो आप किसको वोट देंगे? आदित्यनाथ जी की सरकार एक तानाशाह सरकार है। इसमें महिला सुरक्षा नाम की कोई चीज नहीं रह गई है, जिसमें जातीय एवं मजहबी उन्माद फैलाने का पूरा प्रयास किया जाता है। क्या आप इसके लिए वोट देंगे? परिवर्तन का अब समय आ चुका है। मैं उत्तर प्रदेश की जनता से एक अपील करता हूं कि एक ऐसा वक्त है, एक ऐतिहासिक मोड़ पर आपका राज्य खड़ा है। सही बटन दबाएंगे तो परिवर्तन आएगा, और परिवर्तन सोच में भी आएगा, शासन करने की प्रणाली में भी आएगा, और मेरे और आपके भविष्य में भी आएगा। नमस्कार।
साथियों, अगर आपके कोई प्रश्न हो तो आप प्रश्न पूछ सकते हैं। आपके पास माइक पहुंच जाएगा। अगला है।
I'm not the first one to address a press conference. Very distinguished colleagues of mine have addressed press conferences. I have come to address a press conference today. There are 2 more rounds of elections. So this is not the first press conference, and therefore you'll have to read it as part of a continuous exercise of briefing the press from time to time. I'm sure my colleagues have addressed several press conferences in this hall.
मिस्टर चिदम्बरम, प्लीज सर, आपने जो आज आंकड़े पेश किए, ये अगर आप 7 चरण से पहले पेश करते, क्यों अब तो 2.5 चरण रह गया, उस समय क्या पोजीशन बदल सकती थी?
No, but this data is available in the government records. This data is available in the Niti Aayog records. This data is culled from questions in Parliament. You have reported this data. All of you have reported this data from time to time over the last few months. I'm sure many of my colleagues have hinted at this data in the earlier press conferences. I was busy elsewhere. I have therefore found time to come to Uttar Pradesh now. I would have loved to come earlier, but all this data is already available in the public domain.
चिदम्बरम साहब चिदम्बरम साहब अभी पवन खेड़ा जी ने प्रियंका जी की चिंता प्रकट की है कि वो चिंतित हैं। प्लीज सवाल को सुनिएगा पहले। आपने चिंता प्रकट की है, ये चिंता प्रियंका जी की कांग्रेस की विफलता के कारण है या फिर जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी का राष्ट्रवाद है जिससे आप मुकाबला करने में विफल रहे हैं उसके कारण है?
Oh yeah. This is a concern that many Congress leaders have already shared with the people. This is my concern too. And I'm sure Srimati Priyanka Gandhi Vadra has shared these concerns. We are directly speaking through you to the people of UP. Please remember, as I landed today in the airport, I was thinking about UP. I said this is potentially the richest state in India in terms of land, in terms of fertility, in terms of hard-working people, in terms of labor force, in terms of the two perennial rivers. UP is potentially the richest state in India. But why is it so poor? You sent 8 prime ministers, and if you count Mr. Narendra Modi, also it's a 9th prime minister, and yet you're so poor. In 3 districts, 70% of the people are poor. Therefore, we are directly asking the people of UP, what are you voting for? Are you voting for some illusory past, or are you voting for a future? I'm sure these concerns have been expressed by my colleagues. I am glad I have an opportunity to come and speak to the people of UP through you directly and say, please tell me what you are voting for. If I was a voter here, I will ask myself, what am I voting for? Voting for doctors, voting for education, voting for better health care? Or what are we voting for?
Sir, myself Ajit Bisaria from Amar Ujala. I read your article in Statesman in English, also in its Hindi version in our newspaper. Your articles give us important facts to think, to rethink, as we consider. Here my question is, can we reduce unemployment? Can we reduce unemployment to 0%? Can we, if yes, how can we get this target? My next question is,
Let's see, one at a time.
okay.
See, no country can reduce unemployment to 0%. But you can bring it down to close to 0. No country can reduce unemployment to 0%. If you are reading my articles, I'm very grateful you are my reader. Please read the column last Sunday. That is the column that appeared on the 20th of February. I've given out a whole list of jobs that can be created. The jobs are there.
I read it, sir.
We just don't discover the jobs.
Yeah.
In fact, the first line of the article is, jobs are hidden in plain sight. There are millions and millions of jobs can be created in this country if only we open our eyes and look at what the jobs are. I'm glad you're my reader. Thank you.
Sir, my next question, how can we increase? How can we increase our GSDP?
In UP?
Yes. In terms of UP.
In UP, you can increase your GSDP only if we get rid of this government which has no knowledge, no concern, no understanding of the economy. My reading of Mr. Adityanath is he has simply zero understanding of economy. I can't answer that question. I can't answer the question. Mr. Rahul Gandhi has campaigned in all the states, and I think he has begun to campaign in UP. Really, I can't answer the question. You see, what I said is the GSDP is the denominator, debt is the numerator. If you look at the proportion of debt to the GSDP, I've already said it stands at 34.2% of GSDP. That is UP specific. Now, how did this debt accumulate? UP has been a state for many years, or nearly 70 years now. 40% of the 6,62,000 crore was added in the last 5 years by Mr. Adityanath. 40% of the debt is added by Mr. Adityanath's government. This government has been borrowing. There's no harm in borrowing. Borrowing adds to the numerator. If your GSDP grows, then there's no harm in borrowing. But your GSDP has not grown and you are borrowing merrily, which is why your debt stands at 6,62,000 crore. Your question is, did it happen pre-corona or post-corona? It happened in both ways. It happened from 2017-18. 2017-18, 18-19 and 19-20 are pre-corona years. 2021 and 21-22 are post-corona years. So answer to your question is both. It happened pre-corona and post-corona.
P. Chidambaram ji, hello. Chidambaram ji.
Why should I respond? As long as this voluntary resignation has been accepted by the government, he is a free citizen, and under the election laws of this country, he can contest an election. I don't have to comment on that.
P. Chidambaram ji, hello.
Yes, I think many people.
Hello,
I think many people. Just a moment. I'll answer the question and.
P. Chidambaram ji.
Just a moment. I'll answer the question. I'll come back to you. Many people think there should be a cooling period. I also incline to agree with that suggestion. There should be a cooling period.
P. Chidambaram ji, जो यूक्रेन में बच्चे फंस गए हैं, तो क्या समझते हैं कि सरकार में कुछ चूक हुई देरी मिलाने में उनको, और पेट्रोल डीजल के दाम और बढ़ेंगे गरीबी बढ़ाने के लिए?
Well, I think this is an external event over which a government does not have full control. I think they evacuated one plane load full of Indians before the war started. Maybe they were a little late. Maybe the evacuation should have started a few days earlier. But I think under the circumstances, if the airport in Ukraine is closed, the government, I believe, is trying to do its best to evacuate them. They have tried to evacuate some 10,000 people out of Poland. I think these are external events over which no government has full control.
सर, मेरा जो है मंत्री जी से एक सवाल है कि आपने कहा कि हर यूपी में जो है 4 नौजवान में से 1 नौजवान जो है बेरोजगार है, और दूसरा आपका कहना है कि 277 जो है शिक्षकों की यूपी में कमी है। तो क्या ये माना जाए कि जो बेरोजगारी है वो शिक्षकों की कमी के कारण है? शिक्षकों की जी शिक्षकों की कमी के कारण है ये बेरोजगारी।
Unemployment is because of a variety of factors. Unemployment is because of a variety of factors. Unemployment is because even the government does not fill its own jobs, vacancies. There are huge vacancies in the government of UP. You don't fill that. You need 2,77,000 teachers. You don't fill that. On the one hand, you have students who are qualified as teachers. On the other hand, you have got 2,77,000 vacancies. So unemployment is a mix of a number of reasons. All that it shows is the government is incompetent to handle the issue of unemployment.
चिदम्बरम साहब, ये प्राइम मिनिस्टर का आपके बारे में ये कहना है कि आप लेख लिखते हैं समाचार पत्रों में, और आप संसद में जब मंत्री थे तब आपने कहा था कि महंगाई क्या मैं किसी जादू की छड़ी से कम कर दूं। क्या आप आज आप लिख रहे हैं कि देश महंगाई से जूझ रहा है? तो ये दो स्टेटमेंट आपके, कुछ कहेंगे आप?
I'm glad that the Prime Minister reads my articles. I'm very happy to count him as one of the readers. But I hope he accepts some of the suggestions. You see, in 2008, December, I left the Finance Ministry, went to the Home Ministry. That was the year in which the international financial crisis took place. And as a result of the international financial crisis, the Prime Minister and the then Finance Minister, Shri Pranab Mukherjee, did a fiscal stimulus in 3 stages. Fiscal stimulus 1, fiscal stimulus 2, fiscal stimulus 3. A lot of liquidity was pumped into the economy, which is why inflation went up high. I returned to the Finance Ministry on August 1, 2012. I was asked at that time, inflation is double digit. What will you do? In that context, I said, listen, inflation has risen because of the liquidity. I don't have a magic wand to bring it down immediately, but it will be brought down over a period of time. So Mr. Prime Minister should read the context in which the question was asked and the answer was given. The context in which the question was asked and the answer was given.
हमने उत्तर प्रदेश में बहुत सी मैराथन की हैं और आज मुंबई में हुआ है। इसके बाद एक रिमिक्स जो नया गीत है उस पर वो जारी होगा आदरणीय चिदम्बरम जी की उपस्थिति में, और उसके बाद हम मैराथन की आपको जो डिफर्ड लाइव है वो भी दिखाएंगे। तो गीत जारी करते वक्त चिदम्बरम साहब यहाँ रहेंगे। Okay, but last question is you can ask the last question.
Anyone who's not asked a question so far, please ask. No, just. You're not. I know you're not repeating your question. I'm just asking if anyone else wants to ask a question. I'll come back to you as a last question. Anyone who's not asked a question can ask. Okay. Last question. Last question. I hope you will join the Congress and apply for the post. Start the song, please. Let's move the chair so that they can see.
Pankaj ji, Pankaj sir, there is.